Yeah, that's definitely one of the things I did want to talk about today. You know, this for all the progress that they made leading into this month in terms of the communication output and all the positive feedback and everything that we were getting from Hamster, they took a couple big steps backward this weekend and lost a lot of that momentum and a lot of that optimism that players were starting to feel about, hey, the direction the game was moving. And they did that in two different events this weekend. Event number one, we'll talk about first, is the ticket events. The last several months, I only went back 3 months, back through the NX01 arc and things like that. All of these little ticket events that you've done have, again, led to the Service Commendation Rare ticket event. And in that rare ticket event, there were multiple milestones along the way. And each of those little individual milestones gave out officer shards of the officers that were in that arc. This one does not have any of that. And just to show you what I'm talking about here, let's pull up stfc.space and let's show you our service commendation. This is January. Um, and we'll just go to, oh, this is the broken one that they fixed. Hang on, let me go grab a different one. Let's grab this one. So there we go. So you had one shard of each of them at separate little milestones along the way to help with sourcing for both the rare and the epic officer. They did this also with Archer. They did this with Phlox the last couple of months. Probably going back even further than that. If we go back, maybe even let's go back to December. Well, December is going to be, December had Troy and Riker. So again, this has been a pattern for 4+ months, where we have gotten a couple of additional shards and progress milestones other than just an all or nothing approach. This is a big miss, and this kind of undoes a lot of the progress that they have made this month. Um, the other thing to talk about is the Recruit Mbenga heroic SMS. The material costs remained the same as they have been for a while now, but this cost went up exponentially again for the third consecutive month. And just to show you what I mean, I have these screenshots saved. So let me just go pull those up real quick. Over the last couple of months, this was 2 months ago. This was Archer. Top milestone, again, 56 bracket. Same ops level, haven't changed ops level. It started at 1 million, 2.5, 5 million, and 10 million. So these point values from 2 months ago are effectively double. And just to show you the one in between, because they went up last, they didn't just go up skyrocket overnight, right? This was Phlox. So Phlox was a nice, 30% increase over Archer. If we pull these over side by side for a second, that's a nice little 30% increase, give or take, 35% increase. That Archer, from Archer to Phlox, and now if we go a step further, from Phlox to Mbenga here, we're going up another 50%. This is 13.7. This is about 20. So yeah, about another 6,500. Yeah, 65, 6.5 million. So drastic increase in the cost of acquiring officers over the last couple of months. Now, some people will counter that argument and say, well, that's because they always equate the officers to a $400 pack value, right? Oh, if you want to unlock this officer, it's going to cost you $400 worth of pack materials. Well, I need, if we look at what a pack would cost, I don't even know if I could get that much resources for 400 bucks these days. Maybe the cost went up even more. I don't know. But I don't think that they've improved what you're getting in terms of materials. If, other than the specialty packs, these are specialty bonus packs, right? if we go look at just a standard pack, I don't know that, we'll look at a station pack, right? What's a standard ultra station recruit pack? What are we getting out of here? You know what? Let's have some fun with Excel, shall we? Because now I'm just curious. Have the packs gone up, or is it now requiring even more than a $400 purchase? So let's find out. So we're going to equal, all right, so this is 5-star rare equal 2740 times 3. We'll make our lives a little easier. And we've got 5-star uncommon. That's going to equal 10,500, and you get 3 of those. Okay, we've got 4-star epic, 1,600 times 3. 4-star rare, 5,500 times 3. 19500 times 3. And we've got 3-star rare, 18. Oh, wait, these costs are not the same. 1550 plus 1550. You get more 3-star rare. Interesting. Or rather, and 3-star uncommon, 2360 plus 2180 plus 2180. So that's a standard $100 pack. Let me just make sure they didn't change any of the other values. Okay, now let's go back and look at our scoring. I'll pull this all over once I'm done doing the math here, so we can all take a look at it together. SMS, right? What's the cost here? So this is type, this is quantity, this is value, this is total. So these are worth 20 points apiece. Those are worth 30 points apiece. The uncommons are 40. The rares are 60. The epics are 240. The G5 uncommons are worth 90, and the rares are worth 180. Okay. That's going to equal that times that. Copy that formula down. I do want commas in there to differentiate. I don't need decimal points. And what's our grand total? Okay, so let's pull this over so we can all see exactly what we did here and what we're looking at. Let's zoom in a bit. All right, so these were the different types of materials. This is what I got out of a $100 pack, what I would get out of a $100 pack on my server as a G5 level 56 player. I get all these materials here. This is what the value is for the individual auctions, and if I could spend all of those materials, if I actually had the places, absolutely Converge. You know it's serious when Excel comes out, absolutely. If I could spend all of these materials, this is the points that I would get for it. So a $100 pack would get me 9 million points, which again gets me just shy of the 3rd milestone. Now, Again, this is only a half unlock of the officer, right? Is he only 120? What do we need to get Mbenga? Oh, it's only 120, so you're getting 30 and 60. Yeah, so you're getting 120. If you finished this event twice, you would. I need 19,860,123 times 2. So I need 39 million points. 39.7 million is what I would need to finish this SMS twice and fully unlock Mbenga. If I'm getting 9 million out of a pack, this is more than a $400 valuation. If I did this divided by this, 4.375, 4.38 we'll call it. So this is over a $400 valuation on this officer now. So that's gone up, because that used to be the standard go-to, right? Oh, well, it's worth $400 worth of packs, worth of materials towards these officers. Now, I'm sure the counter argument to that, of course, is going to be, well, that's because you did the math off of a standard station pack, and we've got all these special bonus packs running right now that are probably giving out additional more resources than what if there's a specialty, even more upgrade pack, or some of these other ones here, research special, station special, right? It's paying out even more. Yeah, this one's paying out $29.60 instead of $27.40. So this one's giving out slightly higher, even though it is a limit 1. So maybe that's where they're thinking, the extra materials. Well, if you bought this one and then bought the regular ones, well, that would make up the difference. So that's where they're making the assumption of that it's still going to cost about $400. You just have to buy one of these and then 3 of the other ones, and then you'll have enough materials to upgrade your officer. But again, as we saw from looking at our graphs over here the last couple months, whoops, wrong one. I think I closed them all. The cost of acquiring said officer has basically doubled over the last 3 months. I don't know that the materials they've given out in the packs have doubled over the last 3 months. Maybe this is still consistent based on what was given out in packs. It seems like it's fairly close. So maybe they really have been giving out more in packs, not giving out more necessarily in events. So players who aren't spending, who aren't buying packs, are finding it a lot more difficult than it previously was to meet these goals and to acquire these materials. But since their metrics are typically always aimed at spend value, the spenders are not seeing much of a change in their gameplay, in their requirements, because they're getting more materials and they're, it's an equivalent or close to an equivalent spend. It's the people who aren't spending who are like, what am I supposed to do now? Now I'm even further behind. Now it's even further away from being able to accomplish any of these goals. So didn't realize it was that much more. Yeah, they drastically went up. They drastically went up. What's up, Olympus? Thank you for renewing your subscription for 26 months now. They're only paying the first 5 places in 2 of the recent events. Some of the events, yeah, the amount of people getting paid out are a bit lower. Our SLB are still the same here for at least the recruit ones, but some of these other arc-long events and some of this other stuff that we've seen only did pay out like 5 spots or 10 spots. Some of these other events that we had, like the Kittimer one, only paid out to the top 10, etc. So they've gotten a little more stricter with that kind of stuff too. The only good officer is Chapel, so you're just going to hope to get her through the event store. I mean, I'm sure there's people who would want Mbenga. From what I understand, he might have a lot more value for the 60-plus group for what they're dealing with and those new hostiles and hazards and things like that. So again, those are the players who are spenders, and if he's aimed more at helping them, well, they're not going to see a pinch because they're buying packs anyway, right? So it would be the regular people who might be having a little more trouble acquiring him. Um, we could go back and try and trace the various ticket events and see if the payouts for these have gone up. Maybe they're in there. Maybe we can see if that payout has changed because maybe that's different too. And if we go back and look at even just a regular ticketed event, which one's this? Oh, this was an event store month. Hang on, let me change my search here. Let's go back. Let's go to January. That was not an event store month. Ticketed event or mining. Perfect. Doing that one right now. Ticketed event or miner. So top milestone of this particular event, I needed 2.85 million points, which is what I still need. But it does look like my rewards have increased. Okay, so maybe there's some life there. They're giving out more materials in-game, so therefore they raise the cost of the events to kind of balance it out. So maybe it's not as bad. Just so you guys can see this. Hang on, let me snip this and pull this over. This is the final milestone here. It's going to get a little harder to see, but... So it went from getting 20 billion titanium down getting 30 billion. My epic crystal went from 27 to 30. My rare crystal went from 120 up to 187. Uncommon crystal went from 450 to 723. Okay, so the payouts did increase. Is it exactly commensurate? No, because this is... When did I pull this one from? This is from January. This is a January ticket event. So what have we gone up here? 723, 452. So it went up about 60%. That's not bad. Hang on. Okay. So at first face, on the surface reaction, you look at Manga and you think, oh my God, he's so much more expensive than Phlox was, than Archer was, than Riker and Troy were. What's going on there? But if we do track back and look at some of the events, we do see the packs are having higher amounts in them. And even the ticket events and things like that are having higher reward values in them. I don't know if the rewards have gone up on all events across the board and they just keep pumping more resources into the economy so that players can level up their stuff faster, and therefore they've just scaled the events to keep the point values the same. Or it does make it harder to find places to put stuff sometimes, especially when you're short on ship parts. You've got a lot more materials available, but if you run out of places with buildings, or you don't have the speed ups to constantly keep speeding up 80, 100, 150 day researches all the time, then you are going to hit a wall there. And if you hit issues with ship parts, which was still, a sore point for a lot of players, then that's great. You've got all these rewards and these materials, but you just don't have any place to put them. It's like, great, I've got all the materials for this. Oh, I don't have the rare. But maybe I don't have all the ship parts or something. So if I wanted to upgrade a different ship, kind of the same thing, right? So that is kind of where things sit right now. It doesn't look as bad as I thought it did at first glance when you start tracking back. But yes, of course, you definitely have issues trying to spend those materials. Epics don't get really used for much. There's none of the buildings take epics. Very few researches use epics, other than just a couple of like primes early on, which most people would have acquired by the time they get to the point where they're sourcing it through packs and things like that. They probably already have those primes unlocked. So really the only place to spend those epics, you're talking about tier 9 and higher ship components, usually tier 9, tier 10, for a lot of G4 and higher ships. It's hard to get them there. So you're sitting there with all those epics and you're like, well, great, I got them all. If I could spend them all, I'd get this much. But I don't have any place to put them. I can't get there yet. So, well, this is just the payout going up from last month to this month. So it only went like they giving 30% or they're giving 50 or 60% more in events, but the cost of a Manga also went up 50 or 60%. So it's only slightly imbalanced. It's not as drastic as it looks on paper at first glance, but it is an overall inflation in the game. And again, it does still not address the fundamental issue of great, I have all these extra materials, I still don't have anywhere to put them. So, morning, Timmy. Welcome on in. Morning, Madrox, bud. Aren't ticket events a pay feature also? Yes and no, because you can get 4 ticket events per weekend, so you can save them and do rare events over the course of a month. Um, but yes, they are a feature that you can pay to be more involved with for sure. Obo, thank you for the follow. At 39, you have 7,000 rare mats, but always short of everything uncommon. Sure wish you could do something with them. And that's another big thing, another big obstacle. In the 30s, especially with those epic ships, you'll hit that wall around tier 5, tier 6, where before you can get to the point where you can start spending rare materials on your ships, you first have to get through that something where it's like, oh, you need 7,000 gas or 7,000 ore to upgrade that one component to go from like tier 6 to tier 7 of that enterprise or that auger. As long as we have it up. Let's just go take a quick peek here. Where exactly it is. Because there's always that one. I think it's going from 5 to 6. There's that one. You're just starting to use a little bit of rare, and then there's, bam, these big components that are like 5,000 a piece. And you're like, oh, you can use a little bit of rare, and it's like, well, once you get past this, maybe. And that's going from 5 to 6, and then from 6 to 7 has another one, right? You're just starting to use a little bit of that rare. Oh, yeah, here's that 12,000 armor upgrade that you need. And then once you get past that, then it starts to come back down to earth a little bit. But even then, you're still talking about 6,000 base cost for a couple of other components. But there are some big walls when trying to upgrade those G3 epics for sure in the mid to high 30s. Figure the shards are reduced to make you spend for epic officers. Yeah, I don't know if that was, again, I don't, with the ticket event, with the rare event, it's hard to say that this would be an oversight because typically it's just a copy paste, right? They just copy last month's ticket events and rerun it this month. They just would change the officers in it. For somebody would have to willingly go in and remove the previous milestones and take the officers out of each of them. So this one doesn't really make as much sense. The other ones you can make a case for. Okay, Mbenga costs more to get than Phlox, than Archer, than Riker, but you're also getting more materials in events. You're getting more materials in packs, so we're still keeping the valuation, we'll say, consistent. It's not exactly identical. It's consistent. It's in the same ballpark. But this one is the one that's really seemed to confuse players more. It's like, I mean, I know it wasn't much. It was what, like 3 rare and 3 epic? But why take them out altogether? And the only thing that comes to mind to me right now is Chapel. If they're sourcing Chapel, which they have been through several other events, if they also put her in those ticket events, she might be easier to unlock. If you were getting 3 Chapel shards in each of these events, people might be willing to just do up to the 5th milestone, get the Chapel shards, and call it a day. And then you only need 15 tickets over the course of a month, and you get 12 if you do your timers right. So you'd really only have to carry over 3, and you'd get those extra 9 Chapel shards. Maybe I'm wrong there. I don't know. Maybe it really was an oversight, an accident. But that one seems to me to be intentional. And the first thought that comes to my mind is they didn't want to give out additional shards for Chapel. They wanted to keep her a little more restricted because she is such a highly desirable officer because of her below deck ability, that they wanted to force people to engage in more of the monthly content, which might require some additional spending. You know, how many people saw that event that they were doing and went, wow, if the only way to score in this Kittimer event or some of these other events, PvP events, right? Oh, I have to do more killing. I have to do more grinding to get more Chapel shards for my alliance. Or there was another event that was giving shards away for her recently too. Maybe it was the War Room. Nope, that was Sam. But I don't know. What do you guys think? GP agrees. Okay. Also, if I didn't call it out earlier, Obo, thank you very much for the follow. Welcome to the channel. I'm curious what you guys think. I've been kind of I wouldn't say ranting, a little bit of a rant. Certainly some players aren't happy, right? I've been watching Discord the last couple of days. People were posting screenshots yesterday of what the heck, why is Mbenga so much more? I was kind of curious about it myself. Obviously saw the ticket events. I didn't look yesterday at the rare event. I started them because I needed the resources. And was like, oops, that was a mistake. Which, speaking of which, did I finish all 3 of my ones that were due? Done, 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 done. Okay, good. So we just have to do these 2, which I have a full day on. Denver says it looks like you can't unlock any officers in the first month without at least maxing a heroic SMS. It's pretty tough. Because even if you got to like the 3rd milestone a couple of times and you get a quarter of the officer shards, so if you did this, say, 2 or 3 times, I'd get 30, 60, 90. I still have to come up with another 30 shards somewhere along the way. Maybe I get a few out of the battle pass. They gave us 5 Mbenga shards to start with. 10 million points. Where does that even get me on an SLB? That's going to vary based on your bracket range. Me being in the higher bracket certainly makes it even harder. That 9 million points that I would need to get to my 3rd milestone finished puts me about here, right around 40. That's not going to hold. That's going to drop significantly today. I mean, 7 million points right now is in 50th place. And these guys are going to keep spending today, I'm sure, to try and get to that 3rd milestone. Maybe they'll spend some directives. Maybe they'll spend materials. to try and move up that leaderboard a little bit. But, and even still, even in that 26 to 50th spot, you're only getting 6. So if you get the third milestone here, you get 30 shards. And if you get 6 from the bottom half of that leaderboard, you get 36 per run. 36, 72, 108 leaves you 12 short. They gave us 5, so there's 7. And I'm sure there's 7 in the battle pass, right? 1, 2, 3, 6. There's 6 in the top half. So if you bought the bottom half of the battle pass, you would have enough shards there to fully unlock Manga. But again, that requires hitting milestone number 3 times throughout the month. And finishing in the top 50 all 3 times as well. Or some combination of, obviously, if you finish higher, if you go all out and you finish in the top 25, plus you finish the thing, well, there's, 60 plus 18, 78 shards right there. So you're already 3/4 of the way to unlocking, or 2/3 of the way to unlocking him. Because you'd have 78 out of 120, plus the 5 they gave us puts us to 83. So you're just over 2/3 of the way there. And then you can take it easy on the next one. But yeah, finishing at least one heroic is kind of the most reliable way of getting him sourced. And that's tough for a lot of players because, again, even though they have the materials, they may just not have anywhere that they can put them all. So Jerry says it had the exact opposite effect for you. You cut down your spending to almost nothing, basically just the $20 battle pass. And I do know a lot of other players are in that group. I myself, I'm not spending anything. They're on a 90-day timeout. They get $0 from me through the May ARC launch. And then I'm going to kind of reevaluate exactly where the game is at and make a determination as to whether I want to even keep playing at that point. I was optimistic that things were moving in the right direction when Hamster came on board and we started getting more communication and more transparency about events. They were being more active with the videos. They were releasing things a day or two ahead of time to kind of give players like, hey, here's what's coming up this month. Here's how it's going to work so you don't screw it up day one and accidentally do something that you didn't want to do or didn't mean to do. Those were steps in the right direction. Those were good things that was like, okay, look, they're not trying to secretly manipulate us as much anymore. And then, they take a step backwards with these types of events this weekend. So next Saturday officer event will be Kirk now. I doubt it'll be Kirk. The calendar has 2 Mbenga events listed on it right now. And then the third one is a TBD, I think. Yeah. You've got a recruit heroic, spend G3 or higher materials. It doesn't say specifically it's Mbenga, but given how there are a lot of Sam Kirk shards in the 45-day events, the 60-day events, I'm leaning more towards that's the sourcing for him, and he's not going to be sourced through these material spend events. And then the third one will be announced at a later date. So I guess they're going to maybe wait and see what the player feedback is on these first 2 events before they make a determination as to what to do here. Will this be just another run of this? Will this be a cross-server leaderboard that requires the same things? Will it have Mbenga and Kirk, or Kirk and Chapel shards? That we'll have to wait and see to know for sure. But at the very least, they did a good thing by putting it like this on the calendar this month, saying, hey, if you really want to go after him, you've only got 2 guaranteed events to do so. And it might be, who knows what this one's going to be. This could be a cross-server leaderboard where they're giving out Picard and Data shards. And being like, well, we heard you guys are having trouble with isolytic damage still, so here's 2 more officers that maybe will help with that. Speaking of which, don't forget to go to the web store and claim your keys, because that's going on. And you can get some additional officer shards. Oh, that's in here. That's in the ARC event folder. Mission key hunter there. There's a couple of Picard and data shards. If you get all 20 keys, you should be able to get 23 or 24 throughout the month if you do it through the web store and do your 7-day in-game ones as well. The Alliance milestones here are a couple of Carol Freeman and, hey, Harry Kim shards, as well as Alonzo Freeman too. So we got both Freemans and Harry Kim, who had been neglected and isolated the last couple of months. But hey, as long as you're over on the web store, you could also make purchases and get stuff. I know that's why they're driving the traffic to the web store. One, to get more hits on the website, because that's where they want to post more of their content and things like that about news and video clips and, you know, tie in all that kind of stuff, which is fine. Plus, it just gets more hits on the site. They don't really have a lot of like ads on the site, so they're not like they're generating revenue that way from it yet. Maybe if they get their site viewership up, maybe then they can start putting some banner advertisements and stuff on it to increase revenue. But I think more importantly, they just want players more comfortable going there to make their in-game purchases instead of doing it through, you know, Apple or Google stores, which I'm sure they take a price, a commission on. You can also claim your event tickets and things like that through the event store as well, which is what I was just doing right there. So, Crozim, thank you for the follow. ATU, also thank you for the follow right now. What's up, Gonkar? Welcome on in. What's up, Nuts? 45 to 60 day events just give shards to the top 5 players. Is that how bad these are? Yeah, it's a lot of shards. It's a lot of shards that they're giving out for these particular events. But yes, you're right. It is only the top 5, so you really have to grind whatever the thing is, or spend. Finish in the higher, you know, in the SLB events to get points. You can spend Galactic Recruit, you know, gain officers. So again, all of the events are kind of just the rich getting richer, because if you're winning your auction, your SMS and your SLB and getting a whole bunch of Manga shards, well, then you're getting a whole bunch of points in this event too, which is going to shoot you up the leaderboard, which is then going to give you more Manga shards. So it certainly is a rich get richer kind of thing. That's a good point out, a good call out there. Gaining new officer shards here. Again, well, this one's paying out a little bit further down to the top 25. But yeah, some of these events, the Ad Astra one, again, for Sam Kirk, paying out a huge chunk of shards, but only paying out the top 5 spots too. Upgrading your war rooms. The people who, you know, spent and upgraded their war room are probably a lot further ahead on this leaderboard. You know, obviously unlocking your battle pass, your season pass, your wave defense pass, spending, buying things. You're getting additional premium points for this. So they are really stacking the deck with a number of these events to encourage spending. But unfortunately, for a lot of players, it's having the opposite effect, as we were talking about earlier, where it's now making them spend less, because they're realizing if they have to spend to complete in these events, the people who are already spending and enjoying it and enjoying the game are just going to keep spending. And if you can't out-whale a whale, or have no interest in getting into, you know, we'll call it a proverbial peeing contest with one of them, then unless you're just going to be happy and content with, I'm not spending for the events, I'm just spending to do my upgrades to make my station, my gameplay better, my ships better. And I don't really care about the events, that's not why I'm doing it. I'm only doing it for me to make personal progress. Then you're going to do what you're going to do. But the people who were trying to spend to finish in events are realizing there's so few places getting paid out in these events. There's no way I can compete and can finish there. So there isn't really a point for me to spend that money and let me scale back. And that's kind of what we've seen over the last couple of months. And we still are seeing events like this, which are, in essence, rewarding the players who continue to spend those high dollar amounts. Basically, if you're a G5 player, all 5 spots will be taken by a G6, so don't even try. That could be very likely. As a G5 player, let's take a peek. And let's just see who's at the top of my leaderboard here. What do we got? Are there any 60 pluses there? Tagore, I think, is a 60. Yeah, I think my bracket only goes up to 60. I think it's a 60, 61 and over. Because a lot of these guys are 56, 59. That's that SLB. What about the Ad Astra one? Same players. None of the 60s, 60 pluses on my server are here. And Tagore may have just gone to 60, I don't know. Might have been a 59 who went to 60 from leveling up through this materials and stuff. Same players, same names. And that could be a thing too, right? If you're spending, you're getting points in multiple leaderboard events. So maybe they're trying to incentivize those players who are spending to keep doing so, because it's not just the one event you're getting the reward from. It's having a trickle down effect into 3, 4, 5 other events. So that could be, a different way of looking at things. It's definitely an interesting topic for sure. Definitely an interesting dynamic that is continuing to grow and evolve as we move into, this new era of the game.